everyone, my name is Sarah, and today we're going to learn about how the microbiome affects our health. So, have any of you ever heard of the word microbiome before? That's fine. I only recently ever learned about this, and I thought it was very interesting, which is why I wrote this article and made this video to share my research with you. So because the word microbiome is going to be used a lot in this article, I wanted to let you know what it is in Korean. So in Korean you can say 미생물 군집 or 인체 내 미생물 생태계. So just keep that in mind as you are listening. And also keep in mind that the word micro means really, really small. So there are a lot of words with this word micro in it, so just keep that in mind as you're listening. All right, you ready? Nearly everyone knows that maintaining a healthy diet, exercising, and sleeping are essential for maintaining one's physical health. But did you know that your physical and mental health can be drastically affected by something that is too small for you to see? Pretty interesting stuff. As this sentence says, nearly everyone knows that maintaining a healthy diet, exercising, and sleeping are essential for maintaining one's physical health. So, and the reason why we use this word maintaining, in Korean you would use, 유지하다. The reason why we use that word is because eating a healthy diet, or just eating one meal that's healthy, or exercising just one time, and sleeping just one time, that's actually not really enough to make sure that your body and your mind are functioning properly, right? So you have to maintain a healthy diet, which is, it's like what you eat over a long period of time. So maintaining some kind of schedule or routine with healthy habits, healthy food, healthy exercise, healthy lots of other things. It's super important if you want to maintain your body and stay healthy. So everyone knows that, right? Diet, exercise, sleep. We've all been hearing that since we were babies. Everyone knows that already. But did you know that your physical and mental health can be drastically affected by something that is too small for you to see? So, like I just said, everyone knows about this stuff, right? But not a lot of people know that the microbiome, so the topic of this week's article, it's so small that you can't even see it. Your microbiome, it's on your skin, it's on your face, it's on your hair, it's inside of your body, it's everywhere. But you can't see it because the little creatures that make up the microbiome, they're so tiny that you can't see them. But they actually have a huge and really, really important effect on your body. So these tiny little things, they can drastically affect your physical and mental health. So when we talk about health, in the past, we used to just think about health as maintaining your body, right? But now we know that there's also other types of health, such as mental health, or in Korean you would say 정신 건강. So if your physical body is really healthy, but you have depression or anxiety or some other kind of mental health problem, actually you're not 100% totally healthy. So it's really, really important to take care of your mental health just as much as you take care of your physical health. So I did not know that this thing called the microbiome even existed, let alone that it had such a drastic effect on my physical health and my mental health. So how does that work? Let's find out. Each human's body contains a unique cocktail of bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Together, they comprise the microbiome, a microscopic yet hugely important factor in maintaining proper functioning of the immune system, the cardiovascular system, and the nervous system. So there's a lot of very sciencey words in here. So if you don't understand some of these, don't worry, don't fret. I'm going to explain them. So the first one, it's not really a science word, but it's a little bit of creative language. So it says each human body contains a unique cocktail of bacteria, viruses, and fungi. So here, cocktail. Okay, so let's think about what is a cocktail exactly. It's a drink, usually made from mixing lots of different things together, right? So here, we're kind of saying the microbiome is like a cocktail because it's a unique mixture of bacteria, viruses, and fungi that is inside each human's body. And no one's microbiome is exactly the same as another person's microbiome. So that's what we say it's unique. So it's a unique cocktail or a special mixture that is different for every single person. So you think, ooh, bacteria, funguses, fungi? I don't want that in my body. And so when I heard this too, I was like, this is kind of gross. But actually it's super important, and also you can't even see it anyway. And it's doing a lot to help protect your body and your immune system. So actually we should be thankful to these little guys for protecting us and keeping us healthy. Okay, so now we know what the microbiome is. It's like a cocktail with all of these things in it. It lives inside of our body. So together these things comprise or make up, 구성하다, the microbiome. A microscopic, or very, very tiny. So micro, we talked about that earlier, right? Micro means tiny, really, really, really small, right? And then scopic means, so we think about a microscope, right? So a microscope helps us see something that is really, really small, or microscopic. So scopic, scop, that means to see. It's from Greek. So something that is microscopic is something that is so tiny that you can't see it with your naked eye. So even though the microbiome is so tiny that you can't see it, it's hugely important. So there's kind of a contrast here. We're saying it's really small, but its importance or its role in maintaining our health is really huge. So kind of making it interesting and fun comparison here using language. And so the things that the microbiome can impact include the immune system, or 면역력, I think, in Korean. So the immune system, it protects us from getting diseases that would make us sick, right? And then it also protects the cardiovascular system. So cardiovascular, that means our heart and our arteries. So cardio, that means, maybe you've heard of cardio exercise, like running or dancing. So cardio exercise makes your heart beat really, really fast, right? Because the word cardio, that means heart, 심장. And then vascular, it means little tubes. So vascular, it kind of means like 혈관. So cardiovascular system, it's the system in your body having to do with your heart and also your arteries and veins. So that's another fun word. I did not know that these things, bacteria, viruses, and fungi, I didn't know that it could affect my heart. I knew it was good for digestion. I had no idea that it was also important for my heart health. And lastly, it can also affect the nervous system. So, okay, so the word nervous, it can mean 긴장하다, but in this situation, that's not what it means. Nervous system, it's literally to do with your nerves. So like inside of our body, there's these things called 신경, or nerves, right? And so if you touch your hand, you can feel it, and that's because the nerves in your skin are sending a signal up to your brain, telling you, oh, something is touching my skin. It's giving you some kind of information, right? So if you touch something cold, it tells you, oh, this is cold. If you touch something hot, it tells you, this is hot. So because of the nervous system, our body and our brains are able to communicate, and we feel pain or we feel things that are pleasant, and we're able to experience the world around us, all thanks to the nervous system. Without the nervous system, our body would not be able to talk to our brains, and also our brain would not be able to talk to our bodies. So right now I'm moving around and it's not very difficult. I don't have to think about it. And that's because of the nervous system, and it connects the nerves in my body with my brain. So my brain is able to tell my arms and my legs and my mouth what to do as I'm making this presentation. So I thought this was so interesting that the microbiome, It affects all of these things. It affects our immune system. It affects our cardiovascular system. It affects our nervous system. So obviously, this microbiome, even though it's microscopic, even though it's so tiny that we can't see it just using our eyes, obviously, this thing has to be super important if it's affecting all of these different aspects of our health. Most of these microbes can be found on the skin and in a pocket of the large intestine called the cecum. While individual microbes are too small to detect with the human eye, together they can weigh up to 2 kilograms. Whoa, when you say it like that, you can really tell just how important this thing really is. So we talked about the microbiome, right? So earlier we talked about the microbiome, right? So in Korean, it's 인체 내 미생물 생태계 or 미생물 군집. So as we said earlier, this word micro, it means tiny, right? So the microbiome is made up of tiny little microbes, which are these bacteria, viruses, and fungi. So these things together, each of these are called microbes. So they're little tiny organisms. Sometimes they're living, with the case of viruses, it's another kind of thing. I think they're not quite categorized as organisms, but these little tiny little things floating around on our skin and in our stomach and in our mouth, they're called microbes. And together they make up the microbiome. So microbes are microscopic and they make up the microbiome. Okay? So you see how important this micro prefix is, right? So yeah, just keep your eye out. There might be a few more words that are like that. Okay, so now we know what microbes are and where they can be found on the skin and in the large intestine. So what is the large intestine exactly? So when we digest food, right, it goes in our mouth, down our throat, and then through the small intestine and the large intestine, and into our stomach, and then you know the rest. I don't have to explain it to you. But yeah, so these little microbes that make up the microbiome, they live mostly on our skin because our skin is exposed to the outside world, right? So it's easier for the microbes to get onto our skin. And then they also live in our large intestine in a place called the cecum. So inside our large intestine, when the food is going through here, there's a little pocket inside of our body, and that's where a lot of the little microbes that make up the microbiome, they like to all, kind of have a party in there. They just like to hang out together. So as we said earlier, these microbes inside of the microbiome, they're so tiny, they're so microscopic that we can't see them. But if you put them all together and you put them on a scale, these little tiny microbes would weigh up to 2 kilograms. So that's actually pretty heavy. That's heavier than a lot of our other human organs. So yeah, we can see just how many and also how important the microbiome is if we look at it like this. In the virus-phobic era of COVID-19, the idea of having trillions of invisible microbes on and in your body may not seem like such a pleasant thought. However, the microbiome is essential for human survival. So I don't have to tell you, the times that we're living in, they're a little crazy, they're a little weird. So we're living in the era of COVID-19, right? So earlier when I said that the microbiome is made up of bacteria, viruses, and fungi. So these viruses, that's what COVID-19 is, right? And we're trying our best to prevent viruses like the coronavirus or COVID-19 from getting into our body because it can really hurt us, right? So when people say we have this thing called the microbiome and it's got lots of viruses in it, it's like, ooh, that doesn't sound so good. That sounds kind of bad and scary, right? So I thought that too, but actually these trillions of invisible microbes, they are actually essential, or they're needed, or they're necessary for human survival. So in this day and age, a lot of people are scared of viruses and bacteria and the little germs that can be in the world and get in our body and stuff. But actually, not all of them are bad for you. So some of them can actually help you protect your body or help you strengthen your immune system so that when viruses like COVID-19 come on or into your body, you're able to fight back more effectively. Okay, so lastly, I just want to explain this phrase, virus phobic. So this word phobic, it's the adjective form of the word phobia, which is in Korean, I think it's 공포증. So it's when you're really, really scared of something, sometimes even to an irrational level. So some people are scared of heights. So I think in Korean you would say they have 고도 공포증, or some people are really, really scared of spiders. So people who are scared of spiders, we would say that they are arachnophobic, because arachna, that means spider. So spider fear, arachnophobic. So right now, a lot of people are very scared of viruses. So that you could say that the era that we're living in is virus phobic. However, as I mentioned earlier, the microbiome is essential for human survival. So even though it sounds scary, it's actually not that bad, and it's actually even a good thing and helps you survive. Humans have evolved to live with microbes for millions of years. Babies are first exposed to microbes during birth, and they continue to diversify their microbiome as they grow and are exposed to new environments and substances. So, the very, very first life forms on this planet, of course, were not humans. They weren't bears, they weren't dogs, they weren't even plants. They were microbes. So the very, very first things that were alive on planet Earth, they were bacteria or microbes, right? So actually, the microbes, they were here before we were. So in order for humans to survive, of course, we have to learn how to live alongside or with these microbes, or else, we'll all die, and that wouldn't be so good. So actually, humans have evolved. They changed over time in order to live with microbes for millions of years. So the human body, it's actually really, really good at handling these little microbes. And so the microbes and the human body, they kind of became friends. It's a symbiotic relationship. They help each other. So if humans eat something, the microbes can kind of feast on that in our stomach, and in return, we're able to digest our food and also fight off more malicious or bad viruses such as COVID-19. So when are humans first exposed to microbes? Usually, babies are first exposed to microbes during birth. So literally, the second that they are, coming out into the world. So usually the mom, she's been living on Earth for, however many years. She's been exposed to microbes herself. So the microbes on her body will also go onto her baby. But again, these little microbes, they're not necessarily a bad thing. They actually help the baby to survive and help their body to work properly. So after babies are exposed to microbes during birth, as they continue to diversify their microbes as they grow and are exposed to new environments and substances. So the makeup of the microbiome, it's different for every single person, and it depends on the kind of environment that you live in. So of course, if a certain type of bacteria or virus or fungi, if it only exists in a country that you've never been to, probably that virus, probably that microbe will not be a part of your microbiome. So it all really depends on, the types of places that you are able to go to, especially as a small child, because your body, it grows around this microbiome, because it's so essential and so important to your health that your body will literally have to change to adapt to the microbiome, not the other way around. And the more babies diversify their microbiome, usually the healthier and the more sturdy or 튼튼해 they're able to grow up, because they were exposed, a little germs over here, a little bit of viruses over here, but then when they get older, they're able to defend their body better against more serious or malicious types of viruses, bacteria, etc. So it's pretty cool. Microbes help babies digest the healthy sugars in breast milk. Children and adults rely on microbes to digest fiber, prevent weight gain, and stave off diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. So, as we said, usually babies, their very, very first exposure to microbes that make up their microbiome, their first exposure is during birth. So literally before they're even, out in the world, they're exposed to their mother's microbiome, which, affects their own. And after they're born, microbes help babies to digest 소화하다, or kind of process food inside of their body. It helps them to digest the healthy sugars in breast milk. So, of course, babies need breast milk in order to be healthy and to grow up strong. And some of the things that they need to absorb from the breast milk are healthy sugars. But without microbes to help them do that, it'd actually be really difficult. And people who don't have a microbiome or have a very weak microbiome, they often have difficulty in absorbing nutrients from their food, and this makes them really, really sick. So it's really not such a good thing to have fewer microbes or a smaller, less diverse microbiome. However, it's not just babies that depend on the microbiome. Children and adults rely on microbiomes to digest fiber, prevent weight gain, and stave off diseases. So, as we just said, babies are assisted by microbes to digest breast milk. However, this doesn't change after we become adults. To this day, if you ate something today, your microbiome helped you to digest the food that is now currently in your stomach. And some of the roles that the microbiome and the microbes that comprise it can perform is digesting fiber, because actually fiber, it's not so easy for your body to process on its own. So it's really important that we're able to digest fiber so we can get all the nutrients. Prevent weight gain. I like this. This is good for me. So basically, if every single thing from every single item that we ate went straight into our body, it'd be really, really easy to gain a lot of weight. Especially nowadays, we eat so many snacks. So basically, the microbiome, the little microbes that live inside of it, they'll snack on some of the food that we eat, and that'll make them fat, but not us. So it's a very good thing, in my opinion. However, it's not just in digestion that microbes are able to help us. Microbes also stave off diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. So this expression, stave off. So it means to defend from. So it prevents it from coming in, it shoves it away, and it makes it so people don't get diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer so often. So diabetes, this is a disease where people are unable to process insulin or sometimes sugar. So it's a really, really difficult condition to live with, and it makes life very hard for those who have it. So it's great that the microbiome is able to stave off diseases like it. And of course, heart disease, it's when your heart isn't working properly. And I did not know this before I was researching for this article. Microbes can also help us not get cancer. And no one wants that. So obviously the microbiome plays a really important role. Okay, so we've been talking all about how important the microbiome is, all of the awesome stuff that it does. Okay, so how do we cultivate a healthy and diverse microbiome? Let's find out. Eating fermented foods like kimchi, kombucha, and yogurt, as well as avoiding antibiotics, go a long way in maintaining a healthy microbiome. Like other areas of health, that of the microbiome is also aided by diet, exercise, and regular sleep. So if you want to have a healthy microbiome, something that you can do is to eat a lot of kimchi. Fortunately, I live in South Korea, so I can eat kimchi all day long at every single meal if I want. Another thing that you can eat or drink is called kombucha. I think it's from Japan. So it's a fermented beverage that has so it's kind of similar to yogurt. It's got like cultures of bacteria in it, but they're actually really good for your health and they help you digest your food. And another classic food for helping digestion and also your microbiome is called yogurt. But another really important thing that we can do is to avoid taking antibiotics as much as we can. So antibiotics, it's a type of medicine that fights against bacteria inside of our body. So sometimes if you get strep throat, where your throat really hurts, you might get antibiotics in order to basically kill off the disease so that you get better. But the problem is, if we keep using antibiotics, the bacteria will actually evolve to be too strong so that antibiotics actually can't protect us anymore. So if you can avoid it, I don't recommend taking antibiotics, or at least that's what doctors say. And then, of course, like other areas of our health, the microbiome is also aided or helped by diet, exercise, and regular sleep. So, as we said in the very, very first slide, nearly everyone knows that maintaining a healthy diet, exercising, and sleeping are essential. So, and this is the case for the microbiome as well. All right, that is all for today's lesson. I hope that you learned a lot. I certainly did while I was researching for this article. And all right, well, that is all for today. I will see you all again next week. If you liked this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment or your questions or suggestions in the comment section below. All right, have a great day. Bye.